Hey everyone, welcome to Let's Talk Vision. I am your visionary coach, Teresa Scotland. I'm going to help you stop struggling in silence so that you can reclaim your life, so that you can unapologetically pursue your dreams without guilt and without regret. You're not feeling like you're leaving anyone behind. You're not feeling like you're letting anyone down. And you can really go full force into the life that you want to create for this upcoming year. So the reason why I wanted to have this session today is because I know that there are a lot of women, especially around the holidays, where you are showing up for everyone. You're trying to make sure that everyone has an amazing Christmas. You're trying to make sure that everything goes well. You're organizing holiday parties. If you're like me, we have 3 birthdays in December, not including Jesus, and it's a lot. And I found myself actually today kind of a little bit frazzled because I am hosting some people from my church tomorrow. So I was trying to make sure that, everything was all arranged for downstairs. I still had this call to do. My children needed food. My husband needed my help with other things. So you see how like we can get pulled in so many different directions. And if we don't have a clear vision at the end of the day, it can feel like you don't even understand where you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to be doing, when you're supposed to be, where you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to be. Come on, right? And it can get very overwhelming. So, what I want to talk you through here is how you can show up better in your life and how you can plan yourself into your life. Very often, what leaves us the most frustrated isn't the amount of things that we have to do. It isn't that we are overwhelmed with the tasks, it's that we are overwhelmed with not being able to just breathe and be ourselves for a minute, right? 99% of the time, when I talk to a woman who is struggling with her vision, who is unclear about what her vision is and what she wants her life to look like, it's because she has not been showing up for herself. And that is a big part of what we're going to talk about today, how you can show up for yourself. And I have my planner in front of me, so I'm going to jump right in. I have a planning system. I have a proprietary planning system that I created, actually first for myself, but it's a system that I also share with the visionaries who I coach. And I'm going to turn the page here because, and this isn't going to be fancy. I'm not going to have like all the cool transitions. This is not a webinar. This is me sharing with you how I plan, me sharing with you how I encourage the ladies who I work with to plan so that they can create the type of life that they actually want to wake up to every day, right? So I'm taking this right out of my planner. This is legit my planner. Okay. This is my 2023 planner. I'm actually setting up a new one for 2024. I have updated the vision planning system. I actually changed the fonts as well to make it a little easier to read. So this is what it looks like. This is undated. This is the weekly system, which is what I'm using right now because as you can see on top, this is the Christmas vacation. And because it's the Christmas vacation, then I don't really need a daily planning system. It's not necessary for me to break my days down like that. Gonna just pull up the new planning system weekly planner so you can see, and this is what it looks like. It's extremely simple. There are 24 hours in a day. There are 24 time slots on the planner. I do not put more than one task within a time slot most of the time. If I do, it's because it's a task that's going to take me less than half an hour to complete. Very often, we think that we have more time than we actually have. And because we think that, we end up extremely overwhelmed. We end up doing too many things. We end up saying yes when we should be saying, let me check my calendar, or let me see, or let me get back to you. We say yes because we want to please people. We want them to think that we're dependable. We don't want to disappoint them, right? We don't want them to think that we don't care. But when we go back and we look at the reality of it, or we don't even go back and look at the reality of it, we just jump right into it and then realize, you know what, I can't do all these things. I can't be all these things to all these people all at the same time, right? And this is why planning is essential. And one of the first things that I'm going to ask you to plan is to plan yourself into your day. You absolutely must plan yourself into your day. And I want you to visualize for a second. Visualize what it looks like for you to have a perfect day. What does your perfect day look like? This could be a weekday, this could be a weekend, because every day isn't the same. You might have work during the week, and then on the weekends, you may have more leisure time, hopefully. Or is it that you work so hard during the week that on the weekends you're trying to catch up with all the housework and catching up with homework, making sure that your children have their projects done and all these different types of things. And then you turn around and it's Sunday evening and you have to get ready for work all over again. And you're losing yourself in the midst of doing all that. You're losing yourself in the midst of showing up for everybody else. And it's not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing. Um, the thing is that we can go all the way over to the other side. There is this soft life that a lot of women are trying to live, but what it's doing is it's actually dissolving the relationships that they have, because they become self-absorbed in that softness. And that's not what we want to do. You want to create a type of vision for your life. You want to create a type of routine that's going to allow you to show up for you first, to fill you up first, so that you can absolutely show up for the people who you need to serve. You can absolutely show up well at work. You can absolutely show up lovingly in your relationships. You can absolutely show up strong for the people who need your support. But I'm telling you, you cannot do it if you are not taking time for yourself, right? And time is not something you make. People talk about making time. You don't make time, you take it. Like I showed you with this sheet right here, the daily vision, there are 24 hours in a day, right? There are 24 hours in a day. We all get the same 24 hours. And I get that some people are busier than others. And I get that some people have to work more than others. I get that some women have to work 2 jobs. Some women have to work 3 jobs. But trust me, if you can find 5 minutes to center yourself, if you can find 5 minutes, 15 minutes, half an hour, even an hour on a great day, even 2 hours to pour into yourself, you are going to be able to go longer and stronger than you would have if you're just operating on autopilot and doing that thing over and over and over again. And when you are not showing up for yourself, that is a breeding ground for resentment. That is a breeding ground for resentment of those who you are showing up for. So it could be your boss, it could be your children, it could be your husband, and you find people are rubbing you the wrong way and they've done nothing. They've done nothing, but they're rubbing you the wrong way. And then you're like, can't they see how tired I am? Can't they see how frustrated I am? Why is no one helping me? You may be acting like you don't need the help, right? You may be acting like, no, I got this. I got this. I'm on top of it. But on the inside, you're like, how am I going to do this? right? So I want to encourage you to be able to put yourself on your to-do list before you put anything else on your to-do list. For me, as a Christian woman, that absolutely means that I am spending time with God, daily time with God. And what I am working on now in my own life, and I'll be transparent, is making that an appointment, right? I like to say that a woman should have three appointments. She should have an appointment with God, she should have an appointment with herself, and then she should have appointments with others, right? So, taking care of your spirituality is extremely important. Taking care of your mental state is extremely important. Taking care of your soul, taking care of your body, your skincare, your oral care, right? Taking care of your hair, exercising, taking time to cook and eat good, nutritious meals. These are important things. There's a there's kind of the joke that mom just eats what the kids leave on the plate. Like she just scrapes what the kids leave on the plate, and then that's dinner. Or she's given them all the food because she's sacrificing, and everyone celebrates that. And I get that there are some people who actually have to do that because the children need the nutrition, but that shouldn't be your way of life, right? We want to work to get to the point where we are not operating from the bare minimum. We're not giving ourselves the bare minimum of time. We're not giving ourselves the bare minimum of effort. And we're not expecting the bare minimum in return. You absolutely deserve to live a beautiful, loving, abundant, healthy, whole, and complete life. You absolutely deserve that. And it starts with giving yourself the love, the time, the attention, and the care that you deserve. And that starts with planning, right? You don't necessarily have to have a Filofax A5 planner with 6 rings like I do. You can plan on your phone. If some of you are digital planners, that's fine. You can plan on your phone. Personally, I prefer writing things down. Your phone can die. Your planner is not going to die, right? The pages are not going to die. You may not be able to access, your phone could malfunction. You may not be able to access certain things. So I really like to have things on paper, and it's very unlikely that you're going to lose your planner, right? If you start planning on paper, doesn't have to be my planning system, could be any planning system. You start planning on paper, you're going to get used to writing things down every single day. And the act of physically writing things down, actually writing things down, it slows your brain down and it causes you to actually retain the information. So you'll find that even though you've written things down, you're still remembering it. You're remembering it before you even check your planner, right? Because that's one of the things when I really started to develop this system. I've been doing this for quite a few years now. When I really started to develop the system, I realized like I was actually remembering stuff. And when I checked my planner, I was like, oh, wait a minute, but I did this already. And it made me a lot more efficient in what I do. So now that my life is a lot fuller than it has been in previous years. Like the other day, I had a speaking engagement and I had to travel for the speaking engagement. So it wasn't like a normal thing for me to just, jump in my car, go speak for a few hours and come back. I actually had to leave my family for a whole weekend. And there was preparation that I needed to do along with preparing myself to speak for 3 days in a row, right? So, had I not been showing up for myself privately, I would not have been able to show up and really connect with the ladies who were on the retreat where I was, right? Because I would have been caught up with, oh, well, I got to do this, I got to do that. People would have been calling me. I had to prepare my family. And there's a whole lot of mindset work that goes into planning. Planning is not just putting things down. It's not just writing things down and saying, okay, well, I'm going to do these 10 different tasks. And by the end of the day, I should be done. How many of you have started a day and you had a project, you're like, oh, we're going to clean the garage, or, I'm going to do these 5 things in the house, or I'm going to cook this meal, and you get pulled in all these different directions and you end up feeling frazzled, right? You're yelling at your children. This is supposed to be an enjoyable experience. You might be trying to cook with them or something like that, and all these different things are happening, and you're getting pulled around and you're getting so frustrated. And you wouldn't think it's because you didn't make time for yourself. You would think it's because this person is bothering me, this person is interrupting me, this person at work keeps doing this certain thing, this person in business meetings, they keep saying a certain thing or acting a certain way, and you wouldn't think that you had a part to play in that because you set up your life. And I think that a lot of us, we develop this kind of damsel in distress type of mentality where it's always somebody else's fault. And I'm not saying that people should not own up to their actions and they shouldn't own up to the way that they're behaving, but we also need to recognize that we have a part to play. We have a part to play, absolutely. And what that means is that we need to do some introspection. So I created something that I call the vision sequence, which goes along with this vision planning system. What I do is I take ladies through the vision sequence, then create a vision board. And then from that vision board, that's where the plans come from. So your plans should never be just you responding to what's needed from you. Your plans should not just be the dental appointments and the doctor's appointments and all the different things that you have to do, things that you have to show up for. Your plans should also include your goals and your dreams and your ambitions. Those things should be planned in. Your plans should also include, what am I doing to nurture myself as I am today? And what am I doing to support the woman I am becoming and eventually the woman that I need to become? What are the steps that I'm taking today that will take me towards that person? That has to come from a vision. Don't wait for your life to tell you who you're supposed to be or where you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to do. That's your job. That's your job. Those of you who are married, you have a family, of course, you would be sitting with your spouse and figuring out, what is it that we want life to look like in the coming year? This is something that you can do as a family. This is something you can do as a couple. This is something you can do with your team at work, right? So I'm going to briefly take you through the vision sequence. And the first part of the vision sequence is looking at the goal itself, looking at the goal itself, looking at the dream and describing it in as much detail as possible. What would it look like to be in your ideal situation? Describe that and write it down. Actually write it down. So you're writing it in a journal. The vision planning system comes with all the planning pages. So that is something that I've worked to make it as easy as possible for you, but this is a small journal that I have here. A friend of mine actually made this. She hand makes these. Isn't it pretty? But this is just a line journal, simple line journal, and you can start writing. In my ideal day at work, this is what it looks like. I come in at this time. This is how I want my meetings to flow. This is how I want to interact with the people who I work with. This is the type of mood and the type of camaraderie that I want to have on my team. You might be a leader of a team. You may not be a leader of a team, but everyone has a way that they want to show up at work. Everyone has a way that they want others to show up at work. And you're not doing this to manipulate other people or anything like that. You're doing it to really ask yourself, what is it that I want? What type of life do I want? Right. And we do that in 12 different categories of our life. There's a free resource. I call it the A-list assignment. And part of the A-list assignment is you looking at those 12 categories and rating them, rating your satisfaction in those 12 categories. And what you can do is in each of those 12 categories, you sit down and you say, how do I want my life to look in this category? Right? How do I want my health to look? How do I want my relationships to look? I almost said my romance, because that's how I want it, my relationship to look. How do I want my finances to look? Right? How do I want my body to look? These are things that we think about. So let's do, how do I want my body to look? We are now at the end of 2023 at the time of this recording. I have lost some weight this year because I drastically changed my diet. It is much healthier. I feel amazing. When I tell you I feel amazing, I feel amazing. I did not intend to lose weight. I actually want to gain back some weight, but I want to do it in a healthy way. So in 2024, there's a certain amount of weight that I want to gain and maintain, right? So there are a lot of women who are actually looking to lose weight. I tend to not get support in this area because I'm one of the women who actually struggles to keep weight on. That's just how my metabolism is. So that's one of my goals, to be able to maintain a healthy weight, a fit body. And I also want to start working out with weights. I'm approaching 50 and I want my body to be strong as I go into the second phase of the hopefully at least 100 years that I'm going to have on this earth. Right? So you see what I'm saying? Like, I have a vision for what I want my body to look like, what I want my body to feel like. So similarly for you, it could be in the area of finances. There could be a certain amount of money that you're trying to save in 2024. It could be a certain amount of money that you're trying to earn in 2024. So if it's, let's say it's $250,000, I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. You want to earn $250,000 or save $250,000 in 2024. How much would you need to save monthly? And then you break it down and then you create action items on your calendar, actual action items that you can follow so that incrementally you reach that goal, right? And it's taking you, things might happen where you may have to take some of that money out. There may be an emergency that you have to take care of, right? But you are on your way and you've developed a sequence of events, a sequence of behavior that gets you to your goal, right? So that's visualizing, figuring out exactly what it is that you want. The next part of it has to do with, what do I believe? And this is where, this point is where so many of us get stuck, because we start comparing ourselves to other women. We start making excuses, even though we haven't even reached the point of challenge. We haven't reached an obstacle. We haven't hit a wall, and we're already making excuses about why it's not going to work. Right? So examining your actual beliefs about what it is that you want to do is extremely important. And this is where guidance is key, because if others have the same limiting beliefs that you have, they will enable you in talking yourself out of your dream, right? So if you are around other people who have that same mentality, You might be trying to lose the weight and you want to go to the gym, and your friend is saying, girl, my child, my oldest is 12 and my youngest is 3. And let me tell you, since I had that first one, my stomach never went flat, and I don't expect it to go flat. And it just is what it is, and we're gonna have to live with it. But you want to have a flat tummy, you want to have a fit body. But because of what she said, she now reinforces how you feel, and then therefore you no longer pursue that healthy lifestyle because of what you now believe, right? Conversely, you could have another friend who's like, you know what? I want to lose weight too. Let's do this together, right? Let's try. Let's really give it our all and let's do this together. Or you may have another friend who's like, I know exactly what you're talking about. I was there. I started a workout program. This is what worked for me. Do you want to give it a try and see if it works for you? Right? You might have another friend who says, well, girl, I don't know. I don't really think I can do it, but I'm going to support you. You understand? Like the people who are speaking into your life definitely matter, and you have to know what your personal vision is, and your voice that speaks into your life has to be the loudest voice among the people around you. Your voice has to be louder than everybody else's when it comes to your personal vision and your life. The next thing is, what are you willing to give up in order to make this thing happen? The reason we don't live the type of life that we want to live is because we are not currently doing the things we need to do or being the person that we need to be in order to make those things happen. So the decision has to be made beforehand. This is what I'm going to give up. I'm no longer, for me, let's go back to the health and wellness issue. For me, it's eating a certain way. So there are things that I no longer eat, because I know that if I go back to eating those things, I'm not going to feel the way I feel now. I'm not going to have the mental alertness. I am not going to feel as good. I'm not going to feel as fit and as strong. I'm not going to sleep as well. When I tell you, I feel so good. I'm not giving this up. I'm absolutely not giving this up, because this is my vision. This is how convicted I am about my vision. And I want to see you get excited. I want to see you get excited about saving the money, about losing the weight, about having a great relationship, about enhancing your family life. I want to see you get excited. Wake up and get excited and pick up your planner and say, all right, what am I doing today that's getting me closer to the life that I actually want to live? And what happens when you start living like that is that you have joy in the journey, so that even if life doesn't look the way you want it to look yet, you are over the moon happy because you know that you're on your way, right? And for me, that that means everything. When I see a woman, I'm thinking about a woman right now who I I don't even think she has completed all the sessions that I offered her. But I'm looking at her life and seeing things blossoming and seeing her so happy and seeing her execute on the plans and the dreams and the goals that she had, right? But you have to know upfront, this is what I'm giving up. This is what I'm sacrificing. Because the thing is that when you know upfront what you're giving up, it cancels out the resentment. Resentment creeps in when we expect a certain result, we expect a certain behavior, we expect a certain level of appreciation, and we don't get it, right? And then we start to feel resentful. Okay. So know upfront what you are giving up and know why. And when you do, that's an empowering place to be. It's not deprivation, it's actually empowerment. And it encourages you to keep going because you know why you're making that sacrifice. Yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is journaling. Journaling is an essential part of your planning process. And people look at planning, like I was saying, as writing down the things that you have to do, writing down the appointments, writing down where you need to be. One of the appointments that a woman must have, remember I said, is an appointment with herself. And that appointment with yourself is where you evaluate, how do I feel right now? Right? How do I feel about that thing that happened at work? How do I feel about that conversation that I had with my child or my spouse or my parent or my sibling or my friend? How do I feel about what's happening in the world? How do I feel about that news story that I saw that made me kind of choke up and tear up a little bit? How do I feel about that? When we go through our days on autopilot without processing our thoughts and our feelings, we allow them to fester, right? And there may be a tinge of sadness that you feel that you overlooked because you sucked it up and you kept it moving because in the moment you couldn't deal with that. But there has to come a point where you stop and you process this. Because if you don't process this small thing, it starts to grow. It starts to expand. And there is this saying that what you feed grows, but there are things within you that you do not feed. You don't feed them, and yet they grow incrementally in ever so slight increments, day by day by day. And then you don't recognize it until it's so big that it's actually become an obstacle in your life. And journaling is what gets you back in touch with yourself. It gets you to recenter yourself. And journaling is an extremely spiritual process. I'm not even talking about prayer yet. I'm not even talking about your relationship with God yet. Because if you believe in God, I'm a Christian, I believe in the God of the Bible. If I believe in God, I have to come to God as my true self. I have to come to God in touch with who I am. I have to come to God knowing what I really feel about a certain situation, right? If I don't, then I'm coming to him with a mask on. And therefore, my spiritual walk and my spiritual life, my relationship with God is tainted because I'm pretending to be something I'm not. I'm ignoring certain thoughts and certain behaviors and certain feelings, or I'm just ignorant of what is actually happening within me. So, journaling and introspection and taking that time to really tap into what are my thoughts? What are my emotions? What's happening with me in the moment is something that's extremely important. It's even more important than you being where you have to be on time and writing down all the to dos and doing all the things, right? The next thing is being able to get to the point where you believe that the things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, the things that you are doing that are attached to your vision, I'm not talking about just being busy. I'm not talking about the work meetings and cleaning the house and all the different things that we have to do, right? I'm talking about you have really processed what it is that you want to accomplish. You have clear goals that have nothing to do with how you are expected to show up and who you are expected to be. You have clear goals, big, beautiful goals for the next year, whenever you happen to be watching this, if you're watching the replay, right? You have clear goals of where you want to be, who you want to be, who you want to be with, right? In the coming year, how that is going to look for you. And you're now aligning your plans and your routine for your life to be able to make that a reality, right? So I can say, I want to lose, I want to lose 10 pounds, but I eat donuts every day. Is that going to happen? My life has to reflect what my dream is. My life has to reflect what my goal is daily. It's not something that you just wake up and do for 2 weeks. It's not something that you just do every once in a while. This is a daily thing, and it's small things, right? That's why on the daily sheet, we have 24 hours, because I want you to be able to realistically look at your day and say, these are my 24 hours. You actually write in, this is the time I'm going to be sleeping. This is the time I'm going to get up. This is the time that I'm going to devote to prayer. This is the time I'm going to journal. This is the time I'm going to polish my nails. This is the time I'm going to wash my hair, etc., etc., etc. Right? Because a lot of us, we write all the things down first, and then we say, oh man, I don't have any time. I need to wash my hair. I don't have any time. I don't even have time to take a shower. I hear women say that. You have time. How are you structuring your time? How are you structuring your day? And what is your motive? What is the goal for you at the end of the day? Right? These are the things that we have to look at. And until we get intentional about what we want life to look like, we will always feel like life is passing us by. We'll always feel like we're getting the short end of the stick. We will always feel like I don't have time for myself. Like everything is passing me by. I'm showing up for everybody else but me. You don't make time, you take time. It's there for you. You have 24 hours. It is there for you. Some of us will be able to take more time than others. There are days where I will journal for hours, but that's because I wake up early. It's become a lifestyle for me. I wake up early. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night. And if I have things on my mind, I write them down. I absolutely write them down, because it could just be that I need to do a brain dump. It could just be that there's just too much floating around in there and I need to just offload. And then the next day I go back and I read it and I'm like, oh, but I read it with clarity. I read it with a different understanding. I read it sometimes with revelation, but that comes with practice. So journaling is extremely important. And when you start to do that, you get clear about your vision, you get clear about what you want, then you're open to that thing actually happening. Then you actually start to believe, you know what? I can lose the weight. You know what? I can get strong. You know what? I can save this money. You know what? I can enhance my relationship with my husband or my children. I absolutely can. And you start showing up differently. You start keeping those appointments with yourself. You start keeping those appointments with God. You start keeping those appointments with other people. And when you show up, other people start to see, wait a minute, something different about her. She's so assured. She's sure of what she wants. She's sure of what she's doing. She's walking with purpose. She's moving with purpose. Your boss is going to notice. Your children are going to notice. Your husband's going to notice. People are going to notice when you start to change, when you start to get serious. And you know what's going to happen also? When you start to get serious about your own vision, other people start to get serious about it too. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to jump on your bandwagon. It doesn't mean that everyone all of a sudden is going to be so cooperative and everything's going to go so smoothly, but they're going to see, wow, she's really been getting up and working out. She's really not spending money the way she used to. She doesn't shop as much. Wow, she's really calmer. She's really working on her mental state. She's really working on her attitude. You know, whatever it is that you have been working on, they're going to start to notice. A woman should never be, not just women, people in general, we should not be so moved by everything around us, right? We should be able to set the atmosphere around us. You may not be able to set the atmosphere in a room, but you can set your own internal temperature and you can set the atmosphere around you. I'm not going to get new age with this, but I'm getting the word aura, but I don't want to use that word. But you understand what I'm saying. Your presence, that's the word that I'm looking for. Your presence is going to tell what the atmosphere is for you. Your atmosphere, your internal atmosphere should not shift and change with all the things happening around you. Are you going to be affected? Absolutely. But not to the point where you give up on your vision. And that vision can be short term. The vision could be for that day. The vision could be for that conversation. The vision could be for that moment, not necessarily for that year or for that month or for that week. It could just be for that moment in time, right? And you are showing up, your presence is showing up in such a way that you are sure. What do you think is going to happen? You are much more likely to be able to facilitate the thing that you are looking to facilitate in your life. And then the next thing is actually what I started with, planning. You absolutely have to plan for the life that you want. Hoping that things work out is not a plan, right? Hoping for the best, it's not a plan. I appreciate your encouraging yourself, right? We all need to do that. We absolutely need to encourage ourselves, but that is not a plan. You need to have a clear plan that you can follow, actual steps that you can follow, outline actual steps that you can follow. I'm going to the gym on these particular days. I am doing these particular exercises. I am doing this amount of reps, and I'm going to repeat this action for 3 months. And then at the end of those 3 months, I'm going to evaluate. There must be an evaluation period. There is no elevation without evaluation. You know this from school. You know this from work. It's the same way with life. In order for you to move to the next level, there must be an evaluation. This, at the end of this year, this is an excellent time. As I was telling you about the A-list assignment, this is an excellent time to look at your life holistically and to say, what is it that I need to do? In what areas do I need to improve? And what are the exact steps I need to take in order to improve these areas of my life? Right? So I think that I have covered everything that I wanted to cover. What I really encourage you to do is to find those areas, look at those areas in your life, and see how you can create a life. I like to say that you want to wake up to every day. I wake up every day feeling good about my life, despite how things may seem. And it might not be a perfect day. I might have had a really trying day the day before. I might have a challenge that I know is facing me on that same day, but there has not been a day. It's a very, very long time. And I'm talking in the last 2 years where I don't feel optimistic about what the day holds for me. and the day doesn't have to be perfect. But when you have vision, when you have a clear vision and you have a clear why, I know some people like to say, there is a joy, there is a peace, and there is a purpose that you start to walk into your life with. So I want to share my planner with you so far. It's actually not completely set up, but I want to show you how it is possible for you to plan your day in a way that works for you. So this system that I use, as I said, it's called the vision planning system. You don't have to use my proprietary system. You can use any system you want. I believe other systems will work with this. So this is my planner. This is a Crossbow Planner Company planner. They actually just launched in November, and I started my ring-bound planning journey with Crossbow Planner. I actually used to use their inserts back in, I think, 2020, 2021. But this is their new planner. It's gorgeous. Isn't that beautiful? So I have an inspirational quote here. I think things like this are important. It's like girly things, but it's also something that encourages you when you open your planner. So it says, a goal without a plan is just a wish. And that's what we were just talking about, right? So here we have 2024. This is the actual vision sequence. So it outlines the vision sequence. This is something that I added recently, and it is a vision agreement, and it is your agreement with your future self that you are going to commit to your vision and you're going to commit to executing it. Another thing that I put inside of my planner is a vision board. This vision board is not complete because I'm going to be doing a YouTube video very soon about how to create one of these inside of an A5 planner. So I haven't added all the personal information. I will do that before the end of the year. But this is an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and I use stickers, and I use mostly stickers inside of my vision board in my planner because I know that I'll be touching it every single day and I don't want to dislodge anything. So I try to use stickers. This is my current one. So this one's for 2024. This is 2023. This is 2022. This is 2021. Then I have a whole bunch of pages here, and these are the 12 different life areas that I was telling you about. So you see how thick that is? I take this very seriously, okay? So in each of these areas, what I have is, it's sort of like letters to myself that I wrote. The ones that I have in here I actually wrote in 2021, and I will be rewriting them all before the end of the year to rewrite my story. And that's something that I'm going to be talking about very soon. So those of you who follow me on social media, stay tuned for that. But I believe every woman, every so often, must rewrite her story. And when I say rewrite, I don't mean WRITE, I mean RIGHT. Because as we progress, there are things that we're going to need to change. There are things that we are going to need to reevaluate, and we cannot be afraid to reevaluate those things and course correct where we need to. So this is the actual planner section. So here I have my months. So it starts off with a monthly view, right? So here you have a monthly view with the dates, and then you can add any notes underneath. One of my favorite things to do, I spoke about evaluation. One of my favorite things to do is at the end, behind the monthly view, you have victories, right? So you set your goals, you set your plans, you absolutely Pay attention to your plans. Pay attention to how you're showing up every single day. Pay attention to keeping those 3 appointments with God, with yourself, and with others. Pay attention to those things. Check the boxes. Be diligent. Show up for yourself. Journal. Get in touch with your thoughts and your emotions. Work through problems within yourself and with other people. All those things. But at the end of that month, when you're walking into the next month or on the last day of the month, go back, look through that planner, look through your journal. What are the ways that you have shown up for yourself? What are the ways that you have had breakthroughs? You've had aha moments. You've had amazing revelations. You have done well in certain areas, and write those things down. Pay attention to those. Imagine at the end of the year being able to go back and look at these pages, look at these victory pages and say, okay, in March of 2024, this is what I did. I lost 3 pounds. I showed up in my relationship. I spoke up for myself at work. All these different things. I had amazing journaling sessions. I feel free. I feel light. Sometimes an achievement is not something that can be measured. It's not something you're going to get an award for. No one's going to give you a cookie for having an aha moment, but within yourself that that revelation is real and that revelation is relevant, right? So write those things down every single month. Every single month, it starts with your monthly view, like I said, and even as the month is going along and as things happen, I tend to do that because sometimes at the end of the month, you might miss or you might forget. So if you make it an ongoing thing, this is so encouraging. This is so encouraging to have inside your planner because as you're going through your process, you're still encouraging yourself, right? And you might have a bad day, but you can always look back at this and you could say, wow, look at how far I'm getting. Look at how much progress I'm making. Let me keep going. Right? So this is how I plan my days because of the way that my life is. Generally, I am using the daily. So you have to know your life. So whether or not you're using the vision planning system, you have to know your life. There are different planners that you can buy. Some planners are just monthly. Some planners are monthly and weekly. Some contain daily planning. So you have to know how busy are your days. Is your life set up so that you pretty much do the same thing every single day? Then you may not need a daily type of planner. And I know that a lot of women are having frustration because they're like, oh, I'm trying all these different planning systems and these planning systems aren't working. You have to know what's going to work for you. And you can't start with the planning system. You have to start with the woman, right? It's not going to start, your vision doesn't start on the pages of your planner. Your vision doesn't start on your vision board. Your vision starts with you. So knowing who you are influences how you're going to plan, influences what type of planner are you going to have. I know that my life changes, right, from one season to another. Right now, we're on vacation. I live a life where I'm not in an office, doing a 9 to 5 or anything like that. I am home most days. This is my home office, right? So I have to be available for my family. I need to be more flexible in my life. That means that I need to be more flexible in my planning. And I could not find a planning system that was able to do what I needed. So I just created my own. And that came out of knowing myself. That came out of knowing my own creativity and knowing what I'm capable of and knowing that I'm good at analyzing. I am good at organizing. I'm good at evaluating. I know this about myself. I've spent enough time with myself to know this about myself. So I created something that I knew I needed. And then I realized other people needed it too. So I made it available for other people. But I'm saying all that to say there are so many planning systems available for you. Check them out. Go online. If it you may not want this type of planning system. I like this type of planning system because it allows me to take things out and put things in as I need them. If I have a bound planning system, like even a spiral bound planning system, I used to use a system called Erin Condren years ago. And one of the things was that I couldn't take the pages out. Couldn't take the pages out and I couldn't put stuff in. And I didn't like that. So I had to figure out what worked for me. And in the same way, you have to figure out what works for you. You may not want a planning system like this at all. You may want to plan everything on your phone. And I know that there are some people who, excuse me, there are some people who they just plan their entire lives on their phone and they're good with that. But I don't trust these things and I'm old school, so I like to write things down. So I want to encourage you, if you do not have a planning system, right, for 2024, please get yourself a planning system, get yourself a planner. You can even do bullet journaling. You can do daily scripting. I know there's a lady, her name is Jenny, and she has a system called Planner Perfect, and her system is scripting. So she basically writes out what she wants her days to look like, and then she writes out what she's going to do. That's a great planning system for you if you don't want to have the structure of this. If you are a person who feels like you're all over the place and you need to have structure, get a planning system where the days are outlined for you, the months are outlined for you, the weeks are outlined for you, and take it from there. But you absolutely, and this is an excellent time. I know this is the holidays. I know you're all over the place. I know that you are, setting things up for Christmas and you're trying to make the things exciting and great for the family, but you might be feeling very overwhelmed. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, 9 times out of 10, it is because you do not have a system that supports what you're trying to do, right? So systems and strategy is what is going to get you through in 2024 and in the coming years. All right. So when it comes to your vision, dreaming big, absolutely. Believing in yourself, absolutely. But also have a system. Have a system. Create your own system, right? There are so many things out there, like I was saying, but at the end of the day, your vision is just that. It's yours. And it is up to you to write your vision. It is up to you to make that vision as clear as possible so that not only is it clear to you, but it's also clear to the people around you. We talk a lot about setting boundaries. We talk a lot about people crossing our boundaries and people not respecting our boundaries. You have to establish a standard, right? And when your vision is clear and you have established that standard, you're going to be able to communicate that standard to others. And like I was saying before, it may not even be what you communicate out of your mouth. It may be your presence, your very presence. When you become sure of your vision and you become sure of the woman you are, your very presence is going to communicate that vision without you saying a word. All right, so that's been an hour. I set aside an hour for you. I really hope that this helps. I really hope that you are now able to move on and create a system that supports your vision for 2024 and beyond. Blessings on your journey. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.